Hi everyone, it's KB from KB Sports Media reporting live from the Center Part Credit Union. I'm here with, you've seen this guy before, a special guest.
Yeah, Etienne Marcel with the Sports Inquirer here for another Georgia State contest. Senior Day, final home game for the Panthers.
It is the final home game of the season, and it is Senior Day. Now, before we talk about the game and maybe some things that didn't go well, I want to first of all give a shout out to those seniors. And when Coach McGee talked about those people in the NIL era that have been staying here the course of Georgia State, I just want to give a shout out to them. I'm a proud Georgia State graduate, so I always love seeing seniors here to stay the course of Georgia State. Any positive highlights from Senior Day that you'd like to talk about?
It's interesting seeing the development of some guys like a Ted Hurst from when they first came to the program to becoming, I think, the best receiver in the Sun Belt and a potential professional career.
Yes.
So to see guys develop and spend their time here, but to see some other new guys come in, it's always interesting to see the development of program and people that Coach McGee's bringing in.
Absolutely. You talk about bringing in. As we know, this is the largest recruiting class in Georgia State history. Now, what's really tough about that is, and I asked Coach about this, in an NIL era, how do you get kids to stay with the program when maybe the season didn't go the way they wanted? Right now, we're 1-9. It was a tough loss against Marshall. So what are some of your thoughts about getting kids to stay here when maybe the season didn't go the way that they wanted it to?
Yeah, it's a tough balance because you want to present opportunities for everybody, but it's also a situation, we look at some guys that we saw in the field, freshmen and sophomores, and you wonder if they're going to be around next fall. But that's also part of the process. And Coach McGee, his strength has been recruiting at his previous stops and his ties to Georgia, the state of Georgia, and literally the University of Georgia, as I'm sure you all know. So overall, this offseason, full off season for him, it's going to be a challenge. Just retaining players, but also all those connections he's made over the years with the high schools, even the collegiate programs, because you look at the roster and there's a lot of work to be done to it.
Absolutely. He talked about that. So now let's talk about the game. As I mentioned earlier, it was a tough loss here on Senior Day. And some of the things that I noticed that Coach talked about was the third down. It was like one quarter, we had a lot of third down, 75% in the first quarter. Then you look at the second quarter, then it changed. In third and fourth, we have to stay consistent with that. And as Coach said, we went 7 for 17 and third down converging, which makes a difference. Any thoughts on that from you?
Absolutely. And it's also about being in better third down situations. I'm going to use a cheat sheet here. Obviously, Jordan Simmons finished 164 rushing yards. Second or third play from scrimmage had that big 92-yard touchdown run, but the rest of the game only rushed for 158. 158 yards as a team. What that means, in relation to what you're saying, KB, is when you're not running the ball consistently, you're putting yourself in third and long situations, and that's where Georgia State found itself in quite a bit. And what that leads to is short possessions. Marshall was able to get the ball, have some long drives, and your offense is not getting in a flow, and it just really hurts you overall.
And this is something we've talked about throughout the season, the running game, the rushing game. There were games when we didn't have over 100 yards. We did have that, and as you mentioned, we did see a big 92-yard run, which got me very excited. I said, oh, wow, we're actually going towards the rushing game. But as you mentioned, throughout the game, we went away from that and found ourselves in very tough situations as well. Now, someone asked about the QB situation. Of course, Finley started tonight, hoping that Cam Brown was able to start. He wasn't. So any thoughts about the QB situation tonight?
Yeah, and essentially because they have two games left in the season, and we've seen 3 starting quarterbacks and still not an answer. Pre-game, a gentleman asked me, I think he's with someone was asking me who's starting, and I said I don't know, and that's not a good situation to be in at this time of year. And talking about the NIL and you look to the future, all 3 of those guys are upperclassmen. Some are graduating. Christian Bayer, he walked on Senior Day.
He did.
I think Finley as well. So it's a really tough situation overall for the Panthers because you have these 2 games left. No bowl eligibility. It's like, let's put a young guy in, but the 3 in the depth chart are older. So I don't know what they're going to do to approach that, but I thought TJ, decent effort overall. Really tough fumble at the end.
Yeah, it was.
Trying to do too much out there. But overall, they moved the ball quite a bit. Finished with 251 yards passing. Actually had a few rushes as well. But overall, just not enough.
Right. And it's interesting that you talked about the two quarterbacks or three quarterbacks, but mainly two quarterbacks this season. I remember asking Coach throughout the season, will we see a definitive starter? And actually, Cam Brown was the definitive starter after the Georgia Southern game because he had a few weeks of consistent great play. But as we move forward into, like you said, next year, hopefully we'll be able to have one consistent quarterback and maybe a really good backup going into the season as well. So again, this is going to be a very tough last few games. We have 2 more games left. They're both on the road.
Yes.
And it's like right now, and we talked about this a few games ago when we realized they were not bowl eligible. Your plan for that name, Georgia State, you're playing for yourself, your family. How do you find that fortitude and dig deep when really you have nothing to really play for except for maybe NIL opportunities because some people may leave or start a position next year? I mean, how do you actually dig deep in the last 2 games? What are some of your thoughts on how to find that with 2 games left and you're 1-9 on the season?
Excellent points about the players, but with Coach McGee, and I'm sure you'll see the presser whatever form, hopefully on our platforms. You will see in KB Media and the Sports Inquirer or however you find them. But Coach McGee made some interesting points as well as administrative. And he's been hesitant to really go there. But coaches have to be looked at as well. It's he mentioned it's an entire level of things. A few weeks ago during a pregame, which I remember the game, we talked about NIL and the funding and really gave a really elaborate breakdown of how Georgia State has to compete on a national scale.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, now he mentioned the coaching, administration, and you mentioned the players playing for their final few games, whether here or for somewhere else. I think the coaching staff as well.
Same thing.
It's an open opportunity for everybody. And I think the results you've seen on both sides of the ball, even special teams. Today was a good special teams day, but that's been a struggle at points this season. I think all 3 offense, defense, special teams, players and coaches, it's an evaluation of everybody for sure.
And I love that you said that. It's accountability across the board. The players are accountable for their play, but also, like you said, the coaches as well. Everyone's being evaluated because it could be the end of the season for players and coaches. Now, I'm hoping that we can really dig deep, coaches and players, and get 1 or 2 wins on the road. It's going to be very tough. As we know, we have the home crowd behind us. And when you're on the road, you're fighting against that. Sometimes you have, we'll say, the 12th man, depending on how big the crowd is. So we're all rooting for Georgia State. Any last minute words you'd like to say before we end tonight's show? Yeah,
I think this is really these 2 games where there's no bowl eligibility. The max you have is 3 wins in the season. This really is the start of we're in 2026 campaign. It really is the start of it in so many ways. And I think that's where you really can't just take these games off. And as a supporter of the team, or you really want to watch who's playing well. We saw Grant Hollier, freshman tight end from Woodstock, Georgia, had a big game in his development. You look for those type of guys who, freshmen, sophomores, who did not get much playing time, but now they're getting on the field and you're seeing that, okay, this is a player that we can potentially rely on and help this rebuild.
Absolutely. And I think this might have been the 3rd straight game or the 3rd game of the season that Grant has had a touchdown. So shout out to him and all the things that he's done this season. And like you said, plan to see for the 2026 season.
Absolutely.
And see what that looks like. So again, this is KB from KB Sports Media reporting live from the Center Park Credit Union Stadium. Well, Georgia State had a tough loss against Marshall. Be sure to check out more updates behind the scenes. And again, the presser from tonight's press conference. All right, we'll see you soon.
All right, thank you.